is basically how the heater would sit in the aircraft with the exhaust down in this situation. If there was any leak in the crossover of the combustion tube at this point, and the fuel continued to drain into there, the fuel is able to drain out and into the ducting. And that's where the real concern is. Now, on these Southwind heaters, the 99% of the time where the failure actually is that it would not pass pressure decay test is up here by the crossover portion of the combustion tube, and we'll look at some of those failures. But the real concern here on the Southwinds is if for some odd reason you don't have a good spray pattern, if fuel is able to pool inside of this combustion tube, this inner liner, it's able to build up a little bit of fuel, it starts to leak out a crack, and it's able to get into ducting. That is, the ducting is really a big part of the problem, because the ducting does not resist heat now that it's 50 years old or so. There are safety switches on the heater that keep it from there's an overheat switch. If it reaches 400 degrees, that'll pop that switch, it'll shut the ignition down. There's an upper limit switch that's supposed to regulate it at around 250 degrees. But these switches go bad oftentimes. They just have spring steel in them that actuates them, and that spring steel gets pitted and it gets rusty. And a lot of times the points also will arc. And when the points arc, then you have this switch not performing any kind of safety function. The overheat switch is only as good as the fuel solenoid, so if this trips, shuts the fuel solenoid down. If that solenoid is past overhaul date, the gaskets, the O-rings, the seals on the plunger, everything's dried up and brittle, and most of the time, or a lot of times, it won't stop the fuel from running into the can, even though your safety switches have tripped. Another concern in the AD that we've been talking about, AD is 810909, this combustion air switch. This is made that if there's not enough airflow to burn, to get a good burn, a clean burn, this switch is supposed to actuate and shut off all components that would allow for burn, including fuel and ignition. These switches also are getting old. They're just past their prime. There's no time date on these heaters. So nobody, unless it's overhauled by a repair station that knows what they're doing, nobody many times knows to look at these switches very well. And instead of clicking up at a third of their throw, many times they'll click open or they'll hold open. And again, that safety feature is also no longer effective.